Hello and welcome back to the IX Sports Podcast. My name is Kathleen Gier, and I have a very special treat for you. We have the brilliant Annie Peterson here, who is our Soccer Monday writer at the Nine, and no better guest for our soccer edition of the pod this week. Hello, Annie.
Hi, good to see you. It's awesome to see you.
How are you?
I am great. Everything is wonderful. I spent last week in the sunshine of Santa Barbara and Los Angeles at NWSL Media Day, and came back here, and the sun is shining here, so it's good. Everything is good.
Okay, well, I won't talk about my snow then, I guess.
No, it's a beautiful day here. It's going to be 60 degrees in Portland, so it's beautiful. I'm going to go for a run after this.
I love that for you. Well, let's start with Media Day recap. What stood out to you most at Media Day? Kind of set the scene for us.
All right. Well, Media Day is actually 2 days. It's
right.
Media Days. This year was different because Jessica didn't speak. So Jessica Berman normally opens up the festivities with a media gathering. She was in London with Gotham FC, so she did not attend Media Days. But what happens is the Media Days is interesting because it is a chance for all the TV partners to interview the players one-on-one, to do those little cross-arm photos and things for when they're announcing rosters. And they all pose in their new jerseys, which we don't get to see. They're very covered up. But this year was although I saw a couple of them, I got to admit, but I can't. I had to sign a non-disclosure agreement to not say anything about the jerseys. But I didn't see the Thorns, actually.
Okay.
Saw other teams. But
and to my knowledge, no players have leaked it yet either. Because I know we had players leaking uniforms last year accidentally.
Yeah, no. I think that I heard that somebody saw one of them in a box, at the Nike store downtown. But that's just hearsay. So I don't know if that's true or not. But so while they have Media Day, all of these other things are happening. So Amazon is there. CBS Sports is there. All of the TV folks are there to do their interviews with the players on camera. And then they set up a big, huge conference room where all of the players come in groups. There's groups of 4 or 5 players, sometimes more. And they all sit at tables or stand at tables. And then it's just like a free for all. You just go in and you interview who you want to interview. Sometimes there are players there that don't have anybody talking to them, which is kind of sad. Sometimes there are players there who have 1 million people around them, and it's crushing. You're just trying to get in and try to get video or trying to get quotes or whatever. The first day was all of the NWSL players, Barbara Banda. I talked to Casey Murphy, talked to a bunch of different other players. Savvy King was there from Los Angeles. And so there was a bunch of just strictly NWSL players on the first day. The second day was the national team players. And they had Rodman and Swanson and Sophia Wilson all scheduled at the same time. So a lot of reporters were just kind of bouncing around the room, trying to get as much as they could out of each person and then move on to the next one. So that was a lot. The year before, they put certain players up on a podium. They put the Thompson sisters and Trinity Rodman up on a podium, and it seemed to work a little bit better. Where it was just kind of the first thing they did was all the print reporters got their chance. Then the podcasters and the people who need video and things like that. So it was a little more ordered, but like, it's hard when you're all at the same time. There's podcasters and there's print people and then there's TV people and then there's, analytics people or whatever. And you're all kind of trying to get your moment. Yeah. And, a lot of people are trying to get viral moments, obviously. And
right. So, those are very different audiences sometimes.
Right. Exactly. All of us on the print side are all like, we need to know this and this and this and this and this just for stories to advance the season. And then, other people are like, oh, show us your favorite TikTok dance and stuff like that we would not use. So it's an interesting kind of collection of media, and it's an interesting collection of players. I don't know how they choose the players. I think probably the teams choose their representatives at Media Day. But it was really fun. It was at the Bonaventure, downtown LA. So that was cool. And I went to USC, and I don't get to go down to Los Angeles very often. And so I got to walk the campus one night and afterwards. And it was kind of cool. It was like a walk down memory lane. And it was like, oh my God, these people are so young. But yeah, it was a fun trip, and it was really interesting. But before Media Days, I went to the U.S. Women's National Team match in Santa Barbara, which was really interesting. And like, I did not know some of the lore that was involved with Santa Barbara, but prior to the, I think it was the 1991 World Cup, the first one, they held a camp at the University of Santa Barbara, and the press person for the U.S. national team, who's the longtime press person, his name is Aaron Heifetz. He was actually an assistant coach at the University of Santa Barbara. And so it was kind of like, it was interesting. It was a fun kind of trip down memory lane. It's not a huge stadium, but there were a ton of people there. Everybody seemed to be having a good time. All of the Thorns were there because they were hosting preseason camp there.
Oh, that's fun.
So Sophia was there. Like, you'd walk down and it'd be like, I was walking down the aisle at one point, and I'm like, because my brain just goes to babies, right? And I was like, oh my God, that baby is so cute. That's the cutest baby I've ever seen. And it had on a little bear outfit. And it was so cute. And then I looked up and I'm like, oh wait, that's Sophia.
Yeah, that checks out. We've all seen that baby.
So it's like, oh, I don't care about Sophia. I just care about the little baby in the bear outfit, which is so cute. And then, but yeah, just walking down the aisle and seeing, like going, oh wait, that's so-and-so. And oh wait, that's so-and-so. And like, Carson Pickett was there, like just random people in the audience. So, there was a huge group right in front of press row of NWSL players and actual parents too. I think Jordan Bugg had a huge group of like cousins that were there.
That's great.
They were adorable, and every time she touched the ball, just like screams from these kids. It was just so cute. So anyway, but it was an interesting experience because it was. The camp was for obviously only NWSL players, right? No Gotham players, none of the European-based players, and so it was a lot of kids. I think in the first match against Paraguay, the average age was just under, or the average experience was just under 10 caps, and then the second game against Chile. The experience was just over 5 caps, which is the lowest it's been in 25 years. So it was cool to be able to see those kids. For Soccer Monday, I wrote about Ao, and she was just so excited to be there. And it was it was great when she came off when she came off the field and she went through the mix zone and everything.
Mm-hmm.
She just was smiling from ear to ear. And, and I talked about it in the thing, she gets, she got her chance, right? And she hopes to do more. And, she, I thought she did a really good job, and the fact that Media Day has grown, I mean, just from last year, it's exponential. And so that, as a journalist and as somebody who's followed the team for so long, and the NWSL for so long, that's really, really cool to see.
Yeah, I was really impressed, even by Media Day at the finals the last 2 years. Kind of a similar setup, obviously, a lot fewer players. Well, I guess not really, because we got the entire teams for both of those. So probably around the same number of players ultimately. But that same kind of setup with, that instant access kind of right to the players and ability to ask those questions, but also like the stress of a scrum. But I think that it's nice, kind of as you said, because there are some of those players that don't get a lot of attention, and it does give you that access to talk to somebody who maybe isn't getting all the headlines until you have to race over and make sure you get every single word Trinity says, because that, has been such a focus.
It's like, I mean, bless Trinity, right? The scrum around her is so huge all the time. It's like, it was more interesting to me to go talk to Mal, or even though I have, plenty of access to Sophia Wilson, it was great to talk to Sophia Wilson. So I kind of let the others have Trinity. I was there for a few minutes, asked one question, and then bolted for the other folks. So I think between signing the contract and the big rollout there, and then being at the U.S. Women's National Team game and talking to her there, it's like, okay, I've got what I need from Trinity. Good. I'm good. She's great. She's fun. Makes tremendous video, but like I have to actually write stories. So I wanted to get the other folks, and I also wanted to get, the other players, because the season will be upon us sooner than we expect, and so
it is coming so fast, even though they moved Challenge Cup. Feels like it's coming very, very quickly, and especially on the national team side, they obviously have to plan ahead, but already getting the April camp plans, and even Emma giving us Japan a day early accidentally. She has been, I think, also in fine form lately. She has been so much fun, and I feel like she's having a lot of fun. And last week I recorded the podcast in between those two national team games. So she had initially declined the dance offer for Trinity, and then did accept that for the second game.
And she was good. She did a good job.
She was good, yeah. And in terms of the national team, did any of the captain's armband choices surprise you? I think Trinity was a natural choice there.
And Claire
seemed like a natural
choice.
Yeah,
I thought, no, you know what? I thought they were all good. I think, it's nice to be able to, I mean, it's hard when you have players with only 5 caps, who gets it? Because you tend to want to give it to the more experienced players, the players with the most caps, etc., as is tradition. But no, I thought it was great, and I really I enjoyed seeing the rotations that Emma was using, and also checking out, it looked as though, I mean, and maybe this was just me, and I kind of like isolate players on the field. It looked like in the second game she was putting more of an emphasis on defense, and the defensive players, and getting a look at those a little bit more. It looked like in the first game, I don't know, right? Because I do tend to I'll pick a player and then follow them just to figure them out, right? Because I had not seen her play at Pachuca very often. I think I've seen one game. And she's going to be obviously with the Denver Summit this year. So I wanted to kind of try to get to know her style of play. And so maybe it was just because I was watching her that I was interested in what was going on around her. And then in the first game, I was watching, we were all watching Trinity. So it was kind of what's going on around Trinity. And so it was interesting to be able to see where Emma has kind of chosen to, to swap players in and out, what positions, where, and where she's using players that are maybe more versatile than players who are in certain positions. So I thought that was fascinating. I do think, I agreed with her assessment afterwards. The idea is just to, look at as much depth as you possibly can. Obviously, the players that were on the field against Chile are not going to be at the World Cup. I mean, it's pretty obvious that that's not going to happen. Well, with the exception of maybe one or two might get on the roster, but it was fascinating to be able to see what kind of depth that they're developing, and which positions they need to develop depth at, to think about that. And also to get a first look at some of these players that maybe I haven't necessarily been on my radar when it comes to the national team. And also, it was cool to be able to see the kids who are going to be in the NWSL, right? Ayla's going to be the Summit, and see how that kind of they spent money on her transfer. So they obviously see something there. I definitely saw something there. So just to look at the scope of the roster and considering depth, and also the way that Emma put it is she's not just looking at 2027 or 2028. Right. She's looking at 2031 also. So, and she's also looking at the U23 World Cups and that kind of thing. So it's just, it was an interesting experience. A lot of people are like, oh, who are these people? Right. We don't know, where are the stars and everything? I heard one of the kids I walked by one of the kids and they were like, where's Alex Morgan?
Oh boy.
And it was adorable, right?
Yeah.
It's these were people in Santa Barbara who don't get a chance to see the national team very often. Right. And so the kids are all the kids. And but it was, just from a even a fan perspective, I think it was kind of cool for people to be able to see something different than the usual people. So,
well, and for NWSL, we even got a little sneak peek of Claudia Martinez within a couple of days of her signing as well.
Yes, we did. And she's fantastic.
I'm so interested to watch how that Washington team comes together this year. And I mean, last time we had you on the pod, Trinity, we were still waiting on her decision. And I think she took a whole nother month. Until you were available again, which was very kind of her.
For the Spirit specifically, right? We also did get to see Croy, who is fantastic. And gee whiz, that roster is loaded. It's it feels like Gotham and the Spirit are just creating super teams over there.
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting to see, the whole salary cap the intention of the salary cap was not to create super teams.
Right.
Gotham has been very smart about bringing in European players who want to experience the United States. And then obviously the HIP rule was used for Trinity to come back to the Spirit. And I think it's interesting that even though the whole idea of the salary cap was to prevent, really loaded teams from happening, they're still happening. It's like nature finds a way, right?
Or maybe just simply Michelle King finds a way. Right.
That could be also. I think that, and Haley Carter also.
Well, yes.
Yeah. But I think that it'll be interesting going forward to see how other teams utilize the HIP rule. And if we get to see if eventually, like right now, it doesn't feel like we're seeing parity, but you never know what's going to happen, right? I mean, look at what happened to the Kansas City Current last year. So you don't know if a team that is loaded and loaded and loaded with talent is going to be able to, make it to the final or, do what, get the championships and the trophies that they want. But it'll be interesting to see with that rule if, smaller market teams are able to utilize it to build those kind of rosters. So.
And then the other thing I had for you was those players coming back from mat leave with Swanson and.
So Sophia's going to come back for the opener. She says she plans to be playing in the NWSL opener, which is against the Washington Spirit on the road.
Love that.
Love it. So she plans to do that. She wants to play in the She Believes Cup. She hasn't been selected for the roster yet, so she can't just say, I'm going to play X amount of minutes for every match. But she does hope to get minutes. She doesn't think that it will be, she doesn't think she's going to necessarily start and play a full 90 at that point. So that was interesting. So Sophia, as far as everybody is concerned, is back in the NWSL. She's training with the team. She looks great. And then maybe we'll see her in the She Believes, but definitely Japan is going to be happening for her. Mallory is, so Sophia had her baby in September. Mallory had her baby in November. But Mallory is still very much what she called the newborn bubble, where she is like, it's all about Josie right now. She said that she was taking steps toward coming back.
Okay.
What these steps are remains to be seen. She was a little bit vague about it. She said she's working with the training staff, but it's like they have a plan for her. So it's just reaching these benchmarks to come back. She didn't put a timeline on it. So I think even somebody asked her, are you thinking about coming back after the World Cup break? And she was very vague about it. She's just like, we're just following the steps and we're meeting the benchmarks and everything, which is very typical of Mallory Swanson. But she's enjoying being a mom right now. Good. And that's her main focus. She said it was kind of interesting being away from the game. I specifically asked her, I said, when you're watching the national team or you're watching the Stars, do you like break down like plays? Are you like breaking down film? And she's like, oh no, no, I'm not doing any of that. So she's just kind of watching as a fan from afar. Yeah. And I thought that was kind of cool. It's an experience that, as a professional athlete, you don't get to take a year away and just kind of like enjoy the time away and enjoy watching your teammates play and doing that kind of stuff. So I thought that was very interesting. So we'll see we'll see on Mal, what happens with her. But I do expect her. Sophia's like September, October, November, December, January. 5 months will.
Yeah.
So it'll be about half a year when she finally starts in the NWSL, when the NWSL season starts. So that timeline kind of makes sense. So maybe for Mallory, that's the same thing, that we'll probably see her maybe 2 months into the season. So her first little forays onto the field for the Stars. So Emma, by the way, was asked specifically about Mallory and said she had absolutely no idea of any kind of timeline.
Okay.
So there you go. So Emma's not even putting any kind of date on the whole thing. So,
and as somebody who's covered women's soccer for a long time, how exciting is kind of this progress on and off the field to have so many players in this position, A, being able to just make that decision for themselves and their families, but B, being able to have that confidence to just know that spot is kind of waiting and that they're, a top priority when they come back.
Oh my God. I mean, so for a lot of the NWSL and a lot of the national team, people had waited until their careers were over to have babies.
Yeah.
And that was the deal. And we even had players freezing their eggs, like Becky Sauerbrunn froze her eggs so that when her career was over, she would still, they would still be there. And so, so it's interesting that in just this short a period of time that it's flipped. You kind of saw the writing on the wall when the union with the collective bargaining agreement was making guarantees for women who decided to start families in mid-career. But it extended beyond that because FIFA also instituted rules internationally that said that you can't, you have to give women space to have babies and then space to recover, and that their careers cannot be jeopardized by that. And also you need to pay them. So, so these are all important steps. I did not expect it to flip this fast.
Right.
I kind of expected that we would keep going along a little bit with the waiting until your career is over kind of thing. But I do think that Alex Morgan and Crystal Dunn, obviously, really paved the way in that direction that showed you could absolutely do it. You could quote unquote have it all, where you have your career and your family. And so I think that those two players specifically showed people like, especially national team players like Sophia and Mallory, that it is possible to, you can come back. It's not going to be over for you. It's not, it doesn't end with starting a family. It can be just, part of the journey. So
I love it. I have Soccer Monday column this week where you wrote about IO.
Yeah.
And what else are you working on? What could we look for from you at the AP, you at the Nine Soccer?
So I'm working on, I probably shouldn't tell you what I'm working on for the
AP. See, I tried to trick you. But you can find all of her great work in the AP.
I am working on a bunch of projects before this week, which is cool. I've got a little space where I can, I do have to cover a couple of Gonzaga basketball games, but I do have space where I can kind of write, which is very nice. I don't usually have, that kind of latitude. It's going to get way busier for me starting next week because we'll have the MLS starting up. And then in a couple of weeks, obviously, we'll have the NCAA tournaments. And so things are about, and everybody's at the Olympics.
Right.
So we have, I'm doing editing shifts and news shifts to help out the news desk because everybody's in Italy. So
Right.
I don't have a winter sport, so I never go to the Winter Olympics. I've only been to one, and it's probably best that you don't send me to Italy or the Winter Olympics because I couldn't tell you anything about winter sports. Like I like figure skating. It's fun. I like to watch it, but that's about it. And so everything's going to get really busy, but I'm hoping at the end of this week, I'm going to get a little story together for the Nine Soccer, which is the new vertical that you're in charge of, which is super, super cool. I'm going to do, I'll probably do a little story on Barbara Banda. So keep an eye out for that. And then Soccer Monday, so I did so many interviews during media day that I can just kind of I have content for a month. So
journalist dream.
Yeah, so it's a really, really cool position to be in. There's I think there's going to be, we'll do some great 9 Soccer Monday things probably on the 2 expansion teams coming up.
Yeah.
I'll have something on that. And, there was a few other players that we spoke to that are interesting that I definitely want to highlight for both the 9 Soccer and because I moonlight for the 9 Soccer and then my usual Soccer Monday stuff.
Awesome. Well, thank you again so much for the time from the busiest woman I know, but
not today. I'm going to go for a run.
I know. I'm so excited for you. And I'm sure we'll have you back soon, but that is it for this episode of the 9 Sports Podcast. You can tune in for basketball and hockey as well this week. And then make sure you check out Women's Sports Daily, which is our 5-minute daily recap of the biggest headlines around women's sports to get you ready for those conversations you don't want to miss. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.